No one's hiding in there. If we can't open it, others can't either. And thus they can't get in.
At least you can think about opening it, about doors in general. They are, after all, fundamental to your life. Perhaps something useful will come from this.
You arrested them? Didn't think the cops in this place had it in them. What? No. No one's suspicious around here.
She has not seen her, sire. 'Tis true.
No? Yes. No. You're right. I'm not.
The bullet is safely sealed away in a plastic bag bearing the RCM stamp. Kim has filled out the label on the bag with the item number, case number, and date and location the bullet was found.
What? Well, if I was the bullet, which I'm not, I would say find the weapon that shot me. If we find who owns it, we will have likely found who used it, possibly to kill our victim. In conclusion, the more we know about this bullet of yours, the better.
The squashed bullet has some sharp edges where the jacket has split open. It feels cold, even through the bag. You wouldn't ordinarily have cause to handle jacketed bullets. The citizens' militia uses cast bullets only. Little pebbles of metal loaded from the muzzle, usually in a cartridge. The jacket of the bullet is made of a yellowish metal. It has blossomed out to reveal a dark grey core. The base of the bullet is close to 5 millimeters in diameter. The core is lead. The brass jacket probably didn't cover the entire bullet. Otherwise, the softer metal wouldn't have expanded quite like that. You can just about make out a few striations near the base of the bullet. Little hairlines, linear. It feels standard. It's quite destroyed. Some of the fragments are still lodged in the wound.
What can you say about the bullet so far?
Yes, it's as if you've seen bullets before, officer.
Okay. Jacketed means it would have been shot from a military-grade breech-loading rifle, and not from a muzzleloader like those typically found on the streets of Revachol West.
We were right. This came from a serious weapon. Highly unusual. The people of Revachol haven't carried breech-loading weapons like this for nearly half a century.
Even the RCM uses ordinary unjacketed conical bullets. This is strange. Very strange. I like this, officer. Strange means unique. Unique means incriminating. We need to find the gun that shot it.
A rifle, revolutionary period. Your bullet looks to be an old 4.46mm from the surplus left over from the turn of the century. Probably an antique, or a retrofitted antique. The 4.46 caliber was widely used with the Belmargrave rifle, a Revacholian manufacturer. The BM dominated the battlefields of the Insulindian theater of the anti-centennial revolution 50 years ago. Incidentally, you have just such a rifle with you. The dusty old thing you found hidden in the basement below the commercial area. It's unusable, sadly. If it were, the bullet would probably fit the chamber. No, but Zeliger, a major firearm manufacturer, ended up with a surplus after the war. So there are still a lot of these old military rifles floating around, usually broken. The quality was appalling. Antiques enthusiasts, guerrilla fighters in distant countries, a few lucky jamrock bangers. You're looking for the same thing you found in that hidden weapons cache, only in working order.
What are you thinking? Bullet? Okay. And? What's your best guess? An antique. That makes sense. There can't be many breech-loading rifles floating around in Martinez, or anywhere in Revachol, really. Sure, there's some arms trafficking, but the laws prohibiting the use of breech loaders we inherited from the monarchy have been effective, from what I've seen. Some new RCM recruits get impatient with their muzzleloaders once they've trained with military-grade weapons, but they realize it's worth it in the end.
Prohibiting peacetime law enforcement to front-loaded rifles is a policy enforced by the Moralist International in all the nations of the Real Belt.
Imagine if everyone, cops, citizens, had access to firearms that could shoot multiple rounds without pausing to reload. After the first shot, the second, third, and so on come much easier. But back to the investigation. Doesn't seem that likely, but we'll check out all possible leads. Next step, finding the gun itself. Okay, an antique. Sure, there's some arms, some imagine if everyone. But back to the investigation. Let's find out. Next step, finding the gun itself.
Six crumbling petals rest on your palm. They're white, a bell-shaped crown.
This is the Insulindian lily, called Maybells or Lucille's tears during the Revolution. Girls used to pin these on soldiers before sending them off to battle.
This flower is a spring flower, but it's a bit early for that, isn't it?
Yes, but not this early, not to my knowledge. It looks dried, preserved. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. The revolutionaries, so the communards and the anarchists. White's their color, but the custom started in the suzerain's army, so it held meaning for the king's men too. It's about girls and boys more than sides. Girls sending off boys who are going to their deaths, then also dying themselves in the ruins from dysentery and consumption. It's a symbol of the Civil War.
The petals feel dry and fragile in your hand. Water flows under the channel bridge. Dark water. You rub your sides for warmth, but there is none. Inland, above the Martinez distributary, the channel that brought wastewater from the silk mills of Jamrock, and then dead bodies during the war. The wrinkled fingers of an old man crush flower petals, then sprinkle them in the stream like white salt. The porter reel is just what you needed. The worn map features the patchwork grid of your finger move finally coming.
Yes, what is it?
Hello, hello. Let me know if I can help you with anything. The Coldima Madaqua. Sorry, I would never have guessed that you were that interested in ultrasonic sounds. Or birds for that matter. That's fair. It's been a long time since my Coldima Madaqua hunting days. Once knew a group of young musicians who decided they didn't want to play music anymore and started looking for all kinds of interesting sounds instead. This was before, you know, lost touch with them after all of that. Cool or not, one of them was obsessed with recording the Coldima Madaqua, and he was one of those passionate people who know a lot about all kinds of strange things, so he got the rest of us to join in his search. We thought we did. We got together all these recordings of unusual sound patterns, compared them, cut them up and combined them into the Symphonia Coldima Madaqua. That really wasn't the point. After the Symphonia, we moved on to the sounds of office supplies or something like that, and I doubt any of us would have been any good at pushing papers. Unfortunately, I don't have any recordings from my Old life? None at all. But I do have a tape with some ultrasonic sounds that might be what you're looking for.
Do we really have time for this?
This recording comes from down the coast. Wasn't looking to record anything specific. Just left a recording device there one morning. Keep in mind, I have to slow this one down enough to make sounds well over 200 kilohertz audible to the human ear. It will be strange.
As the hum grows louder, modulating but always unnaturally uncomfortably low, like it's coming not from the speakers, but also from inside your chest, breathing is becoming difficult. That's an illusion. Your breathing is just as it was and will remain that way unless you start panicking. He nods to you, reassuringly, just as more diverse, higher-pitched sounds, some random, some appearing to form patterns, hit your eardrums. Seabirds most likely, gulls and such.
And skewers, but shh.
That's it. The signal in the noise. The thin whisper. A low range of sounds is easier to handle with a focal point, but still troubling. You are mesmerized by the sounds, but also feel nausea welling up as the motif continues, then begins to recede, dissolving in what must be the sound of water lapping at the bank.
You know, now that I've listened to it on these new speakers, it's not the cold Imamadakwa. Wrong patterns, wrong photons. Probably some insect trying to sing higher than its predators can hear. Still, fascinating, aren't they? Early morning sounds. I doubt it, but I can try and answer any questions you may have. I do my best to keep my distance from all manner of butchery. Bad for business, bad for everyone.
He doesn't know anything. No one likes to see what you have to see every day. The pawnbroker's gaze is already fixed on the dancing colors.
Necromancer pig? That shit was dark. Going in there like that. Oh, brutal shit. Tell me. Kuno dies. You're gonna pick one out of his brain like that too? Kuno's gonna go out in a hail of bullets. Gonna look like a fucking porcupine.
Porta Rosa, a side alley of the Boogie Street Spearhead. A young man in his early 20s approaches patrol officer Emil Mullins and asks for a cigarette. As Officer Mullins reaches in his coat pocket for the pack of Astra he just purchased this morning, the man shoots him point blank in his chest. Breathless, the patrol officer collapses in the gutter, His right hand is grabbing the armor on his chest. The bullet didn't pierce it, but he can't breathe. On the pavement, the patter of the perpetrator's feet growing distant. Bleed, pig. Someone opens a window and says, but Emil cannot see who. His sight grows dim with pain.
Pigs? Kuno? You already know that slow shit. Kuno thinks you have brain damage or some shit. Kuno cares.
Kuno, stop being nice to the pig! Step away from Kuno, fat-ass creep!
Ease off, see? Don't be telling Kuno what Kuno can do. What else you want, pigman? Yeah? The kingdom of Kuno? The fuck do you want with it? Yeah, whatever. Kuno doesn't give a shit.
It's not Kuno. It's Kuno S. Kuno S is by far the worst of the two. Kuno has no problem being near you, but the other hides behind the fence, afraid for her life, like she's done something very bad. She came up with that psychopathic scheme of screaming for help before. Kuno just wanted to talk to you about his name. Kuno S was the one who wound him up and directed him. Also, Kuno hasn't stopped talking to you, even enjoys it from time to time. When you talk to the other one, it's like talking to a cornered animal. She only hisses and says murder was the case that they gave her. And then there's the fact that she's a girl and appears to be a little younger, certainly smaller. And yet Kuno is afraid of her. What's up with that, Kuno? All in all, Kuno respects madness. You cannot hope to outdo her on that front. You must win yourself a few minutes with him alone.
Fuck you whispering about?
He's whispering too. He's going with it. But watch what happens.
Fuck you whispering about!
She puts extra stress onto that word, expecting it will make you uncomfortable.
If Kuno wants to whisper, he's gonna fucking whisper, okay? Let's whisper, pig.
This is it. You've got him. But be careful. You can still fuck this up. Don't make Kuno look bad in this.
It's okay. The pig's trying to pit us against each other. No.
Idiot. You bungled it up. That's it. You let him off the line. That was a bad, manipulative thing to say. You should understand.
Try to fuck my Kuno! Try to fuck my Kuno away! Me and Kuno are tight!
A chill comes over you, the wind from the boulevard south, lashing you for trying to separate them, for trying to take the street out of Kuno. You were too pushy last time. Think this through. Try to really understand the psychological bond Kuno has with Kuno S. Just look. While Kuno has no problem being near you, she always hides behind the fence, afraid for her life. Like she's done something. She came up with that psychopathic scheme of also. And then there's the fact that all in all,
Fuck you whispering about?
He's whispering too. He's going with it. But watch what happens.
Fuck you whispering about!
She puts extra stress onto that word.
If Kuno wants to whisper, he's gonna fucking whisper, okay? Let's whisper, pig.
This is it. You've got him. But be careful. You can still fuck this up. Don't make Kuno look bad in this.
She's not fucked up. Everyone's fucked up. Stop judging shit.
Wrong move. But he's whispering still. You haven't lost him. Just don't mess up again. Or you will. There are no guarantees here.
Crazy? You don't know the half of it. She's not crazy. She's insane. Dangerous. She's smoked a man. She's done people in. Probably even pigs.
Stop talking to him! Kuno, I'm fucking warning you! You're gonna get us into shit!
She understands what you're trying to do.
Yo, see? Did Kuno not tell ya? Kuno told ya. Kuno talks to whoever he wants. Talk, pig. Kuno's got it under control.
You did it. They're separated. He's even turned his back to her, so she can't read his lips. Fuck. She can read lips. You should cup your mouth.
Kuno means she killed someone. That's right. She's a killer. Like, actually a killer.
His little green eyes are fixed on yours. He's meant everything he said before, but right now, he not only means it, he is sincere.
Are you getting this? You think I'm fucking telling you a joke here? How hard do you think it is to kill a fat ass? Sweet talk him, then knife him. She's probably killed a pig too. I mean, I'm pretty sure she has. I knew you pigs were too naive for this shit. Good thing Kuno's got her under control. Kuno keeps her calm.
There's something cold in the air, like water lapping against cold stones, or dripping in a hallway nearby. 3 years ago, there were shoes in the corner. A cop would be too large for her to overpower, but a determined child of her size can still kill the vulnerable, the elderly, the homeless, or other children. The creature peers at you both from over the fence. There is something searching in her eyes. Fear.
Kuno wasn't around, and C was with Kuno. Told you this already. Look, Kuno's gonna put you at ease. We didn't do it.
He speaks the truth, my liege. Kuno falls silent. He does not look at you when he replies.
Kuno, there, that's it. That's what Kuno is starting to think, yeah.
He usually looks you straight in the eye. A little something just crumbled there. Don't move your head. Just from the corner of your eye, look at her. Though her friend spoke too low for her to hear, Kuno S is not smiling anymore.
Yeah, she's psycho. None of that kiddie psycho. Cat burning shit. She does the real deal. Yeah. Snuff radio shit. Believe me, pig, you don't want to know.
And he doesn't even want to think about it. This isn't just another boast.
Fuck knows. She says it's the song of her people or some shit. Crazy people. The fucking Nakis. I don't know.
It's Suruese. The Suru are an indigenous ethnic minority in the social democratic powerhouse Vasa on the tundra and taiga-covered Isola of Katla. Far, far away from here. As far as possible, really. You mean evil little red-haired people like her? Yes, they do. The Suruese have that ginger gene.
Suruese? Like that man from Helmdall shit? She could be. She could be that Helmdall shit.
Revelshot does have a small Suruese community. Or she climbed into a yakberry crate and was shipped over accidentally.
Fuck no, she's not my sister. She's just a stray who got in, like a mad dog or some shit. Yeah, she was just there.
What was that, Kuno?
She was in the hallway, dripping wet, by the fucking shoe rack, in the dark.
A shoe cupboard just off to the right? Have you been to this place?
Kuno's got no fucking idea. Her hair was all wet. I think she pissed on the floor too. She was there for 3 days, in the corner, every time Kuno went out.
You know this. The body goes into a kind of revulsion shock. Murder hangover. That's what it could have been. Killed a kid. Yes. Makes them look for a quiet, dark place and just hibernate there. Usually goes on for a few days, up to a week. Must have been her first one. You only get it on the first one.
I dunno. Someone left the door open. Kuno comes home. She's sleeping under the desk, under the pile of clothes, like a dog. Kuno's dad doesn't give a shit. Doesn't even see her there, or thinks it's fucking Kuno. Shit's all on Kuno. Fuck no shit. Yeah.
What was that, Kuno?
She was
A shoe cupboard just off.
Yeah, that's the place. She was just balled up near the closet. Kuno's got no fucking idea.
You know this. I know you don't.
I dunno. Kuno's dad doesn't give a shit. Doesn't even... Kuno means she killed someone.
His little green eyes are fixed on yours. He's meant everything he said before. But right now...
Killing is serious shit. Kuno's always serious about the 488.
488. The criminal code doesn't go higher than 190.
She's probably killed a pig too. I mean, I'm pretty sure she has. Forget Kuno said that. Kuno was just shitting. Kuno was just running his mouth.
There's something cold in the air, like water lapping against cold stones. A cop would be too large for her to overpower. The creature peers at you both from over the fence. Fear.
How's Kuno dealing? Kuno's dealing just fine. He doesn't need you fucking with any of it. C doesn't either. Kuno's got this shit under control. Listen, listen. C is Kuno's go-to. Kuno's protecting her. You fuck with C, you fuck with Kuno. You threaten her, you threaten to take her away.
This is what it all comes down to.
I'm going to kill you. I'll run when you put the cuffs on her, sneak up on you later, and fuck you up. You understand?
He may not be able to do it, but he will try. Right now, he believes he will.
All right, now we can do business.
He's breathing heavily. That took something out of him.
Yeah? What do you want? Kuno can hook you up with...
Don't hook him up with shit, Kuno.
See? Relax. He respects the Kuno. Kuno made him respect the Kuno. You respect the Kuno, you get all kinds of shit. Remember when you tried to get Kuno to hook you up? We can get on that now. If you run a little errand for the Kuno, me and you, Kuno's gonna hook you up with illegal narcotics. See, it's tension and release with Kuno. Now we releasing. The pan buying shit, that's on now too. 90% discount for Kuno's pig. Kuno can flex. Kuno flexes for hobos. Kuno sees you're in need. Here, pig. We're fun now. Performance buddies. Kuno can already see you soaring through the air like a fucking eagle. Pig's in Kuno's debt now. Money debt.
Money debt doesn't mean anything. He's just saying words. You're not in his debt.
Kuno gets it from his dad. Kuno and his dad are major suppliers. That's where Kuno gets his lightning on. Problem is, Kuno and his dad had a little falling out. Now junkies clawing at Kuno's door. Streets going mad. Kuno's got to throw his dirty popo man at it. Dirty popo man is you. In there is Kuno's violent dad on steroids. Kuno's dad does steroids and speed. If you can take him, you can have half of the speed. Kuno's dad is a fucking monster. He's the most violent man in Revachol. He doesn't give a shit about a single thing. He drinks too. Like half. A baggie, but like in this vial.
That's half a gram, sir.
Yeah, half a G. Want it or not? Fuck you talking about half a G? This shit is giant, grade A shit. So clean you can barely see it.
You can barely see it because there's barely any.
Okay, Kuno's listening. Kuno sees you're too pussy to face Kuno's dad. It's okay. Kuno doesn't fucking care.
Before I squeal, pig. I come from the woods, Kurvitz. You don't want to go there with me. You don't want to see what I've seen.
Don't be traumatizing here. Get the fuck out of here.
A lorry abandoned by its owner, stuck in the interminable traffic jam. The smell of cigarettes and perfume welcomes you. The cabin inside is plastered with old movie posters. Actresses smile from the walls. There's a radio transmitter in the front and a toolbox tucked under the driver's seat. Some tools lie scattered near the pedals. There's something odd about the passenger seat. The seating fabric has been pulled tight over the lower side of the seat where the toolbox should be. Voila! A stack of neatly folded papers has been stashed behind the seating fabric. You see 3 maps depicting a large metropolitan area, its Revachol. Some of its routes and highways have been outlined with a pen.
Bonne prise.
This large map displays the elevated motorway called 881. The intake leading to Martinez is marked with a blue X. There's another X on the off-ramp at a place called the Old South. Toll booths at the intakes are marked with a circle. It looks like there are scant few ways of getting onto the elevated motorway that runs over Jamrock, and this person knows them all. There, hundreds of thousands of motor carriages roar on the 881, high above the mass of brown and red roofs that is Jamrock. The commuters don't even look down. The world ceases to exist outside the windshield. This municipal map from the 30s displays a complex system of storm sewers underneath a sub-district called the Pox, old military hospital, right adjacent to the 41st precinct. Wind rips through the empty hallways of the once great military hospital, now just a ruin under an overgrown park. Beneath the hospital, great sewer tunnels hum and vibrate with life of their own. The rattle of motor carriages and lorries driving through long-forgotten tunnels, lit by gaslights. The final map displays a labyrinth of service tunnels left over from the construction of Motorway 881. A few routes have been marked with a pen, where the tunnels and sewers surface near the eminent domain and a traffic island in central Jamrock by the lake. These service tunnels were probably used during the construction of the foundation beneath the motorway. Despite the cold, figures move about cloaked in shadow, their breath escaping in white clouds that fade into the darkness. Wherever you look, the night gives cover to her messengers. They travel from eminent domain to perdition and onto the main, over the River Esperance, on Route 881 to the Old South. The exit ramp is supposed to be shut down, but there's much activity. The road spreads like the tentacles of a great octopus. Looks like the smugglers have infiltrated the road network belonging to East Motor Tract.
So it would seem. The RCM patrols most of these auxiliary roads, though apparently not all of them. Best not to disturb the scene. I'll have forensics go over the lorry and pick these up later.
The stack of maps looks just like before. Looks like the frequency dial is absent. It requires a key to work, but the key has been removed, likely by the missing lady driver.
Strange. There are so many radio stations saved here. Must be over 100 at least.
It has to be an advanced model to fit so many frequencies next to each other without blending them together.
No, that's on 78.9. What? I happen to have committed the frequency to memory. I have no problem admitting that. For contacting an entire fleet of lorrymen, for example. Looks like we are dealing with an impressive organizational tool.
A 20-kilometer radius at least, perhaps extended by an attachable antenna that's not here right now.
Doesn't look like it. It's completely inoperable without a dial key.
The ghostly actresses and the rusty toolbox under the metallic drawer slides out from the seat. It's an issue of Peripherique. It looks like an article ripped out from a radio enthusiast magazine. These formulas look oddly painful.
The Ulan frequency system? I've never heard of that before. I know of FM, AM, UKV, but...
The pull-out toolbox slides back and close the rusty old lorry door. A lorry stuck in the traffic jam. The windows are clear. Fumes of heavy fuel oil waft over you. The back end of the cabin has a small perch to sleep. A book with ragged edges catches your notice. The front cover features a large, muscular man.
Racist nationalist paraphernalia. Not unusual in this part of town.
The driver has adorned his space with a substantial collection of a large metal pendant hangs from the rear view mirror. It is the seal of Royalist era Revachol. The payphone hangs.
Yes?
No response. He's having trouble processing it. Believe
Have you tried concentrating on something?
there is a sudden, harsh edge to his voice.
Really? You look fine to me. This psychodrama is unbecoming of an officer.
Clearly, he prefers to think you're malingering.
Then you should consider seeking medical attention. You can use the radio in my kinema to call your station's Lazareth. Was there anything else you wanted?
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone.
This is Precinct 57. How may I? It will take just a moment, officer.
Her voices fade out into the familiar radio static.
Gottlieb, what do you want?
He's carelessly chewing on a piece of hard candy.
Oh, it's you. Yes, there's no end to the misfortunes fate has seen fit to rain upon me. Who? You are? You lost your human visage a while back. Now let's get on with it. I've got more important things to do. Hard to tell exactly what it was over the phone. Could be a combination of peripheral neuralgia and high blood pressure. Could be that you were having a heart attack. Or, actually, it could be both, given your profile. Yep. Yes, probably in more ways than one.
He sounds very careless about it all. Positively breezy.
Cut down on the drinking, pal. In fact, cut off the drinking. The drugs, too. Anything else?
What's he going on about? You know that speed is great for you. But, shh, don't tell him. He won't understand. Abstinence could have immediate positive effects on your health.
And you survived it. Congratulations. Are you mobile?
Sort of. But by God, does it burn in your chest.
Even better. Anything else? I wouldn't worry about that. Officers your age have coronary trouble all the time. Also, death is a natural part of life.
Accept it. The body is an object, and objects break down. Do what good you can with yours. before the rest goes too.
With all the damage you've been dealing yourself with drugs and alcohol, I'm not surprised.
There is no surprise in his voice, only careless superiority.
What else? I'm not a brain doctor. Look on the bright side, you've got a whole new life now. Use it wisely.
It's hard to say if he doesn't believe you, or doesn't care.
Look, pal, getting pumped and dumped is not a disease. People live through it all the time. You should be happy for her. And that's what the guys say, officer. That some chick pumped you and then dumped you, threw you away like an empty juice carton.
Don't take it personally. There just wasn't any juice left in your carton, pal.
You must have me confused for a close personal friend. I am not. I am a medical professional with a constant idiot emergency on my hands.
One needs tending to right now, he thinks, looking around the room. God, these apes. You hear someone whine in the background. My eye, Doc, my eye.
What? You want me to do blood work for you again? Tell you just how bad things really are across the board? You want another rundown of everything collapsing inside your body? You want the real, honest-to-God truth? Stop drinking, eat magnesium and vitamin D. Our station is not a retirement home. We don't have the funds to deal with rock stars past their prime. And no, I don't want to hear a political commentary on the topic. In fact, I got work to do. Some idiot has glued his eyelids shut with cyanoacrylate. It looks like Mactorson.
It's not fucking cryoacrylate. It's super glue, Doc.
Cyanoacrylate is superglue.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else I can help you with, officer? Just a second, officer. Sylvie Malaika on the line for you, officer.
Yes, hello? Oh, great. What else do you need, detective? No? Not me? No, sorry. I don't. People don't have the money to have the cables put in again.
So the Union has a phone, and there's one further down the coast. Got it.
Seems like Glacier wasn't lying when she said it was her. This corroborates her story. She made the call.
She is of the fairest of them all. The ugliness of lies would never escape her lips.
What? Of course it bothered me. But I thought the Union already knew about the corpse. No one calls the police. The Union would get angry. You know, what the Union says goes. People listen to them and they take care of their own, which is like everyone here.
Garbage.
I didn't want to get in trouble with the others.
Push her further. Show her the error of her ways.
I didn't know I had to report it. I thought someone would take him down eventually.
The fucking nerves on her. Trying to hide behind weakness. You're a god. An angry but just god. You can almost hear the girl getting smaller on the other end of the line.
Okay. You mean, why did I leave the bar? Honestly, I'm not really comfortable discussing it with you, sir.
Why not?
What? No, why would you even think that? Please, don't bring Gar into this. It's none of your business.
God, why can't you just mind your own business?
I already said I don't want to talk about this. You're messing everything up again.
You hear the call.
Anything else I can help you with, officer? Not yet. But I was able to convince the database people to share private sector information. They promised 57th over and out.
In the cabin, you see a set of steering levers.
You keep coming back!
If he really wants to save the economy, he'd let you pay with net worth. Go over and ask him if you can. Something cold grazes your hand. Synthetic and sleek. A windbreaker. Surf, it says, but also wind, summer, 100% waterproof, and sport. All in different, practical, and yet it may deaden your senses to the world around you. Possibly because of the awful typeface.
Good choice, officer. Mega sporty. And it's only $4.50 for you, sir.
The Delta Logistics Company truck stands here waiting, reflecting white light from the courtyard behind it. You knew it would be here, blocking the gate. Yes, people hard at work at their desks. They can barely tell if it's day or night anymore, because the lights in the building are so uniform and bright. Who knows when they'll come out? Irony. They're yuppies masquerading as Mazovians. Or was it Mazovians masquerading as yuppies? Even they get confused sometimes. Out here in poverty-stricken Martinez. Yes, people hard at work at their desks. They can barely tell if it's day or night anymore, because the lights in could be. They certainly want to stir the pot, remake reality in some new image. Because this is a place of mystery.
Whatever's going on there could hardly be of any consequence to our ongoing investigation. You can come back to it on your own when we are done with this case.
Yeah, irony. Yes. People hard at work. Yes, and it's rather ironic. Because the dented yellow mailbox greets you with its graffito. Bullet.
Yes, for sending mail.
This orange machine is dead still. It has a hand-cranked ice cream churner and an electric freezer. The ice around it slowly melting.
Oh, it's you again. Are you looking for a die? Of course. Tell me what you have in mind. A star that fell from the firmament? Those cost more than 7 real. Are you sure? Alright, maybe some other die then? I think I have just the right one for you.
Police colors.
Not the most original, I know, but sometimes the obvious choice is obvious because it's best. Here, catch. They're a gift from me.
A beautiful woman tossing you a gift. Whatever you do, don't overthink it. You overthink it. Your hands can't agree what to do, and the 2 dice drop to the floor and scatter in opposite directions, like pearls from a broken string. The blue one disappears down the pit in the center of the room.
Ah, down the drain, like your career. I apologize, officer. That comment was unnecessary. That one is made of bloodstone with a lapis lazuli inlay. The other one was the inverse. They were a set, you see, but now the set is broken. It's a shame. They might have brought you luck. And you definitely need luck in Martinez. Now, was there anything else? Of course. Tell me what you have in mind. How about an amber dye? Who told you amber was cheap? It's beautiful, really, and has been treasured since the ancient times. For 7 real, I'll craft you a 13-sided die from piece of amber with a fossilized insect. It's perfect for those who can't seem to let go of their past. I had a feeling. Great. See you in 8 hours then. Was there anything else? I'm sorry. I'm a bit overloaded just now, so I can only produce 1 die per customer.
Tiles on the cube are still smoldering. Casting the framework, it's empty like a beehive without its brood. Some cables have been left dangling, disconnected. The filament you have would fit perfectly inside the compartment. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Something's missing. Shelves filled to the brim with crime novels featuring shelves full of biographies of famous people, whoever they are.
A true cultural touchstone. Enjoy the read.
This bookstore is not strictly about crime, romance, and biography. Amidst the various books, you find one written by someone. These three things, the point of the book, and many others on it serves platitudes, while wholeness, unity, when it's up to your mind, various paranatural. You stare at the now familiar black and white rainbow. The book feels heavy in your hands. In cold, detached prose, the author describes a scene from one of the Yugoslavia riots in the 20s. Youths overturned motor carriages and set trash cans ablaze, while heavily armored guardsmen dash in and disperse them in a flurry of baton blows. The Yugoslavia riots took place from 27 to 29. Fueled by ethnic unrest and the state's repressive tactics, these events are often seen as marking the end of a brief period of liberalization known as the Yugoslavia Spring. Like all such periods, it is frequently memorialized in art and literature. As ethnic tensions run wild, a pair of young lovers meet each other on the street. Somehow, in the middle of all the chaos, they manage to lock arms and look into each other's eyes. It would physically hurt you to keep reading. Are you sure? They go through a brief and somewhat awkward love affair, and in the end, they betray each other and succumb to the absurdity of Gradian life. The man becomes a lens grinder, completely abandoning his former existence. He toils through the daily drudgery at the Lenka polyfabricate. Happiness and fulfillment have eluded him his whole life. And, in the end, he has nothing to do but dedicate himself to the craft. She spends the next several decades standing at a conveyor in a Sosnovo fish processing plant. The smell of fish guts slowly seeps into her hair and skin, as every single one of her dreams dies, one by one. The memory of their short time spent together tortures the former lovers ceaselessly until the end of their days. Years pass in solitude, their bodies growing ever more decrepit. As life leaves their remains between the soil sheets, their final thoughts are filled with regret. The Greatest Innocence by João Paulo Salomão Lopes de Fuego. The book is large and heavy. Browsing through the various chapters, you try your best to understand the ceaseless overflow, the sprawl of names, dates, places, events historical. Most of it ends up as a twisted mass of facts inside your brain. Your educational survey is done. Did you catch any of that? No. Oh well, it's pop quiz time. Let's see what you've learned. This might take a few minutes. You ready? That's the spirit. Here we go. Question 1. Who was the first innocence? Oh yeah, this is what I was made for. A pop quiz is a short examination designed to test your knowledge without any prior warning or announcement. Such exams allow the teacher to assess how thoroughly the students have retained the material at hand. Voila! Now blast that first innocence. Thanks for nothing. Dolores Day. Dolores. Incorrect. Dolores Day was the innocence of humanism, internationalism, and the welfare state. She codified parliamentary democracy and created modern institutions. Among these, the moral intern, she was powerful and beautiful on all her icons. Her colors are silver, white, and apricot. And when you think her name, Dolores, stomach acid rises to the back of your throat, and it hurts. You see a flash silver, a wreath, an airport bag, and blonde hair. You don't know why. Another choice, perhaps? Steer clear of this one. There's something terrible about this one. A strange sensation of loss. When she left the earth, the dust, and the ice, and the humans. That is unimportant to the quiz. Stop thinking about this. Yes, the quiz is impersonal. No need to rouse sensations in yourself at the mention of Dolores Day. Who was the first innocence? It wasn't Dolores Day. Incorrect. Sola was anointed during the previous century and even lived to see the current one. She was an urban planner who spoke her mind and largely left history to its own devices, encouraging people to excel on their own rather than prescribing to a deified model of history. She is often called an anti-innocence. Sola resigned after an assassination attempt by a Yugo nationalist who blamed her for not taking the side of the left during the turn-of-the-century revolutions. Innocences don't usually resign. Care to try again? Then go with your best guess. Isn't that what students are trained to do when they don't know the answer? Correct. Nothing much is known about him. It's not even clear that he was a he, but Franco Negro presumed as such and called him Pius. He's depicted as a young man with molten gold pouring out of his mouth. All he spoke was gold. It's said he invented God and equality of men before God. He also introduced the gold standard as a way for measuring people's love for Aurum. As the first innocence, he declared that there should be more of those like him. It is presumed his disciples were the beginning of the Holy Party, the founding party. Question 2. Who was the strongest innocence? Easy. Everybody knows the answer to this. You, me, anybody. An innocence is the highest category of historical personage in the world, a literal personification of history. Traditionally, an innocence, when anointed, assumes supreme rule over the Occident or the known world in general, at least the parts that matter. I can do better. Okay, so commonly an innocence does not enforce his or her power through military power. This is seen as unnecessary. The innocence wins because an innocence can't help but win, for their deeds are inevitabilities. Did this help? Damn. Dolores. Correct. Named the innocence of militarism, he codified hereditary rule, but at the same time ended serfdom and established the inter-isolari real as the global reserve currency. He also established the concept of the nation. Franco Negro attempted to solve the rising tensions between the aristocracy and bourgeoisie by building a unified society in which every man has a place and a mission, but at the same time may rise to nobility provided on the strength of his virtue. Question 3. Who was the false innocence? Got it under control. No problem. Solid on this one. It's widespread historical information. Yes, there exists a group called the Founding Party, known as the Holy Party, during the time of the Pericarnassian. This, the world's oldest international organization, spends its time in search of either the re-emergence of the innocents or new members. There seems to be a mix-up with the sources. It's not my fault. At least it clearly wasn't Dolores Day. She wouldn't be false. She's beautiful. Correct. There have been a number of counter or false innocences. Some assumed to have innocentic qualities. Some who just thought so themselves. Occasionally, they have the support of a faction inside the ecclesiastic organization, and accusations of foul play have arisen. The most famous and important of these was Ernest Pasternak. He was into torture, despotism, hymns, cannons, and world conquest, but got defeated and humiliated by Stepan the Despicable of Kedra. Final stretch. You've come so far and learned so much. This is the most important one. Question 4. Who was the greatest innocence? The most important of them all. The most precious to humankind. I've got it. Honest. Of course, this is my thing. The reason I exist in this world. The correct answer is Franco Negro. Zero doubts, while it was actually her. Incorrect. While Franco Negro built concrete churches and cathedrals, and while many people, especially the Mesk, consider him a father figure. Due to his militarism and nationalism, João Paulo Salomão Lopes de Fuego argues differently. Another choice, perhaps? Oh yes, militarism and nationalism. Yes, correct. The MESC might see Franco Negro as the father of nations, but as of this century, there's been a great shift in attitude. Dolores Day has become widely regarded as the greatest innocence, a most radical change to the whole fabric of the world. Everything from inter-esolary travel to the connected world to 3 consecutive scientific revolutions can be traced back to her. Every decade that passes, she seems less human somehow, and more beautiful. And more beautiful, and more beautiful. Congratulations on finishing the test. The results and your subsequent grade have been calculated. You get a C, vaguely passable. A solid effort with nothing much else to show. Nice going, mediocrity man. You would have done better if you'd just left Dolores Day for the end. Dial the Dolores Day down a bit.
What's going on with you? Okay.
You are shouting at an inanimate object, like a real weirdo. No wonder you seem to have trouble with the right answers. Call the Mama Dakwa. It's not only your eardrums that register sound anymore. Your very skin has become an organ of hearing. Looking for a whisper, light and low. A god who's very, very silent. Nothing escapes you. A cockroach in the other room. A candy wrapper falling on dry grass. A drunk falling from a chair in a bar 20 meters away. In fact, you haven't heard the call du Mama Dakwa, but you have discovered that you have amazing hearing. It must be the only part.
Hi, Ace Detective. Are you here for more books?
Hey, was there something you needed? Another thing. Great. I love those. Oh, okay. Well, I did hear you make noise back there, so good for you.
He's really, really holding himself back here.
Okay, what is back there? Ha! I knew it. I've always wondered where those machines by the door came from. And they told me there was some kind of pinball thing here too. I knew it. Were there any back there? In working order, I mean. I was just wondering if you found pinball machines there.
He was wondering about something business related, about how much money he could make off one.
No, but we could diversify the entertainment options, seeing as you've opened the door back there. The machine we have in the corner now is broken. It wouldn't hurt to get a little life in here, other than the hellish karaoke machine. That one's always causing trouble.
Yeah, those numbers he's adding up must be making good sense to him right now. He should still know. You have to be forewarned about these things.
What? Why would you say that? We're at a completely different address from that whole thing.
So he knows of the doomed commercial area and its address. He's thought about this.
Everyone knows of it. I've been working here for a long time, and that intercom has never been used by the whirling. It's a sign of the whirling in rags not being part of the doomed commercial area. If anything, we're revitalizing this neighborhood.
Relax, Mr. Gart. I'm sure there is no doom. He simply wants to share his discoveries with you.
Does this look like part of a doomed commercial area? This pre-revolutionary tilework, these high ceilings, the nice rooms, well, most of the rooms. For 14 years, man. That's how long I've worked here. I've kept this place up through hail and through sleet. Fuck me, if some doom ghost... Yeah... It's slowly growing on me again. It's beautiful in its own way, especially for this neighborhood. I've been trying to keep it that way. Even if it is part of the damn doomed commercial area. I don't place much stock in the curse and so on, but the label frightens the clientele. Who wants to stay at a doomed hostel? Everything's doomed enough without that. Some real estate management company, they never come around here, just collect money from afar. Honestly, I think some money laundering might be involved. Well, it sure as hell wasn't the real estate company.
It was you?
You look surprised. What? It's a great name, I know. Cafeteria managers come up with great names too. It's from a song. Hail, Holy Queen, by the Ateneers. Hail, Holy Queen of the Sea. You're whirling in rags, you're vast and you're sad.
Good pick.
luck has got nothing to do with it. I need to think about where I'm going to place those pinballs. I have a feeling they're going to help.
Against the doom, it's implied.
So, if you didn't have anything else to tell me about my establishment, can we, wrap it up? What wall? I'll have it fixed at once. Thank you for letting me know. I assure you, the Whirling does not abide spying on its guests.
The color has drained from his face. What a shame to fix such a good peephole.
Absolutely not. Fuck you for even implying it. It wasn't me. It wasn't my staff. The establishment will look at it and ascertain what it was.
Well, he's definitely not lying. He wouldn't endanger this business like that.
Sir, he was only asking a question. It's his job and mine. See that it's covered.
Yes, I absolutely will. Sorry, it's been a bit of a day. And now a hole in the wall. Thank you. I'll patch it up personally. Was there something else about the establishment? I hope not. Why? No, fuck it. I don't want to know. I don't want to know why these degenerates do what they do. I thought we had one good guest in the building. What's that supposed to mean? Fuck you, buddy. She's not my taste. Good thing she pays for her stuff on time. I'll forward her the bill and be done with it. Now, was there anything else? I have like 4,000... Yes?
Yes? What is it?
Again? I can't believe this shit. Okay, why not? Let's do the whole thing over again. We're not wasting time. There is no time. You think he was hanged as a cover-up? To hide the shooting? Okay, well... I don't know. Why are you? Oh my god, there's more. You want something more? What is it? Yes, it's a hobby of mine.
As if waiting for some kind of reaction or response.
The Copper-nado is back. What do you want? Yeah? What?
stupendous. I didn't think he'd pull through. Thank God. And indeed, Mr. Everard as well. In this investigation, one may have use for a firearm. You wouldn't want to get caught with your pants down. Weird. Oh no. One of the positive things to come from the revolution is the unhindered exchange of information, you see, even when it comes to trade secrets. Which isn't to suggest our talks constitute corporate espionage. Even if they did, it would be fine. But they don't, since you logged the money as a donation, and this is clearly just gossip between friends.
The lieutenant might have, but I don't remember you logging anything as anything, Harry.
Sounds like he has you running errands, Detective. A well-established dominance ritual. Where did he have you deliver it? Here? Oh no. What does that bloated hellbat want with my little cinderblock town? No, don't tell me. I don't want to know what he has in store for this place. Probably a statue. It's a statue, right? A giant statue of him, or better yet, his twin brother. Practically the same thing, but makes him seem less like a psychopath. A youth center with Edgar Clare's statue on top of it.
The humidity crawls under your skin. Your eyes track her gaze, past the net picker, toward the concrete square of the nameless village off the coast of Martinaise. The concrete plates cross to meet in an abstract shape. In them, small footprints, impressions left by rubber boots. Small rubber boots.
Go ahead. Help him. Make it so. I have no power to stop him. What? 35, I think. Why? I have mutant's feet. Very small.
The prints are hers.
I should be. In my youth, I had a brief dalliance here in Martinaise. He was an older man with impossibly broad shoulders. He's probably dead by now. Even his shack is long gone. Not that it matters. These buildings are all carbon copies of one another. Yes, I was slumming it with some girlfriends of mine. We had boats and... Don't hold it against me. My paramour certainly did not. Not overly so. It's not like this was the only place we visited. Me and my girlfriends from Azon with our shiny boats. Like reavers. We told ourselves we were the worst thing to happen to the coast since the Coalition landed in '08. Imagine. First, there won't be a youth center. Whatever he has told you or the residents, it'll be something horrific. Perhaps even worse than a statue. So yes, I do. A fishery. I've been speaking with Lillian here. She gave me the idea. The infrastructure is all here, and with my connection, sadly, it's just one of the million things I'll never get round to. I just have to accept that I'll never be the rich candy girl who goes around solving people's problems with money. Yes. I'm sad I'll never have the time, Detective. I've always...
She is more defensive about it than usual.
Full of ghosts and ancient memories. Has this errand yielded you any information? A takeover? If they're taking it...
Green livery, changing into red, blot by blot. Like a cancer of the blood, metastasizing.
Then we're talking about a war. Evrart needs to let me into the harbor at once. We need to talk about this. They most certainly are not. Crenell has 1,000 men on their payroll. The next batch will be a platoon of 20 men and a gunship.
I've seen the Union's forces. They are better organized than these mercenaries. They also have the support of the people of Revachol West. It will take more than Crenell to wipe them out. Wild Pines will need to send more and better equipped men. Make no mistake, ma'am. I am sure you have the money. The question is, how many years and how many lives are you willing to sacrifice?
What do you suggest I do? Everything affects the decision-making process, Detective.
Officer?
For once, I don't seem to know what the right thing to do is.
Of course. Your job is to clean up after them. And it looks like there will be a lot of cleaning to be done in the near future. What will I do?
Her arms fall to her sides. Her spine relaxes.
Did I ever tell you how they discovered this Isola? During our reality lowdown? It may be the only break we've ever caught as a species. The last one for 400 years. The nations who colonized this Isola called theirs Muindi, the world. It was all they knew, all they thought would be. That there would be something more was a gamble, akin to another world, or life after death. The Pale was thought to be impregnable, perpetual. Irene la Navigateur, the Queen of Suren, sent 8 expeditions, one after the other, into the mass at the edge of the world. 5 of the crews did not return. 2 did, but had lost their minds. It was anything but normal. There was no precedent. People thought she was punishing the admirals, or had gone mad, or both. Until after years of trial and error, and the development of a strict psychological regime imitating the creation process of poetry.
Called Volta do Mar, or Return from the Sea.
The 8th expedition returned sane and intact. They told of a new continent of matter. They told the Queen and her counselor, Dolores Day, that the Pale had begun to condense, day after day, hour after hour, minute after minute. Slowly raining down until it formed a vast ocean.
The air is cold and scented with petrichor. There are rain circles. So does the lieutenant. His mouth is slightly open as he looks to the sky. The droplets feel warm, like spring rain.
The phenomenon has never again been encountered. For a time, the crew thought they were experiencing a hallucination. The mass hand proclaimed, "Lancielinde, Lancielinde," the signal to wake up. But they could not. They were sane and conscious, as islands began to appear on the horizon. There are 78...
You've thought it a million times.
A total shift in human comprehension of reality. On the second day, a great skua was shot down above the flagship Elysium. The bird was preserved and brought back, along with pollen. Four years later, the Queen's Counsellor was proclaimed Her Innocence Dolores Day, the elected world spirit. The age of humanism, internationalism, and parliamentary rule followed. We were high. On Caillou, the Pebble, the largest of the fertile, uninhabited islands of the northeast Insulindian archipelago. 4 centuries and 2 revolutions later, the first living, autonomous organism, proof of reality. It's the symbol of Insulinde, detective. The coat of arms of the suzerain and the wings on the crest of the commune. In your defense, it is a nasty creature who plucks food from the throats of lesser birds. Yet much like Revachol, it is also magnificent and rare. Imagine the suzerain of seagulls. The nations of Mundi proceeded to discover 5 more Isolae, or they discovered us, all in the rush of the great inter-Islary reconnection. But these others weren't uninhabited. We had to kill people there, wipe out indigenous populations, gunboat economies, or they came to do the same for us, or had done to each other. But here, there was no one but the skua, the Liliat Saya, and the Blood Beach, and the River Esperance. It was the new world. The Mondials used it to amass the greatest concentration of wealth mankind has ever seen. Revachol, the suzerain. Revolution, poverty, and the mercurial rise of capitalism. It is. Soon it will be spring and everything will blossom.
The gangs will run wild, jacking motor carriages, ferrying amphetamines through Coal City. Spring is tough in Revachol.
I will surrender Terminal B to the Union.
She puts her hand in the rain. She's silent for a second.
We will see.
Ma'am, this may well unravel property law this side of the river. If that occurs, we may never see the end of this kind of confrontation. The next time there will be 2 strikes, then 4, then 100.
What happens will happen. The age of capital has only begun. I will talk to my employers in person. We will amputate and cauterize Martinez, if you handle the situation on the ground. Yes, Mr. Clare has a 2-month head start. I can't let it grow any bigger. And I've exhausted all my options from here.
There are no employers. She's a member of the board. Probably a partner.
You are the citizens' militia. There are no superiors.
That's right, Detective. And next time, you should confer with them before you go setting events in motion.
Events are already in motion. Whether your actions accelerated or momentarily retarded their progress, even the lieutenant cannot really say.
I have not deceived you. I told you exactly who I was. Rejoice Layton. Keep the peace, and I will keep my end of the bargain.
How far along is Cronell's investigation?
A confrontation is imminent. They have followed in your footsteps. As your investigation reaches a climax, so does theirs. They are your shadow. Arm yourselves. Armor yourselves. Protect their targets. Violence may be unavoidable, but we can limit the casualties soon. I do not know precisely. They have cut off all communication, you see. They know I've been feeding you information. One last thing, Lieutenant Dubois. I've given the matter much thought and come to this conclusion. You're not an amnesiac. You're insane. I know, because I too am insane. I just hide my illness better. And I'm rich. No, Detective. No one's as insane as you.
Don't worry, Madame. I am very sane.
I'm overexposed, baby. My travels take me through the Pale dozens of times a year. I've got the longing. And I've got it bad. The same strict psychological regimen the 8th Admiral developed when he crossed the Pale and discovered this Isola, the Volta Domar. It's used by inter-Islary travelers and other troubled souls, even to this day.
You could use a little of it yourself.
Watch out for yourselves. They will strike soon.
The lieutenant watches her boat grow smaller on the bay, its white sails fluttering. With worry in his eyes, he does not know if it was the right thing to do, but he doesn't say anything. You wonder what Everard has to say about this. Slowly, the sails turn grey-blue as more oxygen gets between you. Metal payphone under a yellow plastic dome. There's a bitter, caustic taste on the tip of your tongue as you look at the handset. You dial the number again. 26 pulls of the rotary dial. The machine eats the coin, and a terrifying ocean of distance rustles in your ear. In the middle of it, a familiar ring, small, distorted. Calling. 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 Looks like she doesn't want to pick it up, Harry. Stop scaring her. Come on, you know why. Calling, calling.
Harry, please.
Underneath it, she is naked and warm under a blanket. There's a sigh.
Please. I'm going to hang up now, okay?
Phone hanging, disconnect tone. You dial the number again. Calling, 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 calling. And calling for who knows how long. The cold metal is hard and hurts your knuckles. You look at them, turning purple. It didn't give you any fun for that money. You're bent metal, broken glass. You are the destroyer, the bane of inanimate matter. Look, there's a discarded milk carton on the floor. Why don't you destroy that, too? You're right. That's definitely not the behavior of a destroyer at all. That's just severe anger management problems and a disregard for property rights. There's some tear, an empty cigarette package. You see traces of mayonnaise and ketchup on it, as well as a tomato wedge. The wrapper reads, Shish Kebab Revachol. It's no older than a day or two. It's hard to concentrate in the smell.
Yes? What do you want to know? You mean like a brief? Do you want me to brief you again? There's no reason to wing anything. 3 days ago, the RCM emergencies desk received a report about a security guard who was found. During that time, the victim had been stripped of... Okay then. Was there... Good.
Hello, hello. Let me know if I can help you with anything. I doubt it, but I do my best to keep my...
He doesn't know it. No one likes to see. The pawnbroker's gaze is already fixed on the dancing colors.
Sure, let me have a look. Oh, no. I don't like those kinds of objects. No such aphotic paths, counter-radiance networks, anti-magnetism.
You have absolutely no idea.
I'm not purchasing any more clothing. All right, let's see it. Oh, no, 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 no. I don't need bloodthirst. Besides, this gear costs a fortune.
It feels like he would have accepted the risk if he hoped to profit from it. It's not good.
Anything else you're thinking of selling? Another time, perhaps. Traffic? I'm sorry, officer, but now that I think...
That sure narrows down our list of...
Jacob Ove?
Do you think it may have been Jacob Ove who drove over you?
It's a logical explanation.
You see rows of toy soldiers guarding the rest of the... They're not all blue. These figurines also wear gold coats and caps.
This is what the loyalists look like.
Which ones?
All the old boomboxes are there. What a shirt. All other shirts pale in comparison to the muscular man with antlers and immense zwa. A small mountain of colorful board game boxes. There are numerous types of games for all ages. A lot of shelf space seems to be taken up.
Wonderful choice, sir. A wholesome family game. If you say so, but you better stay away from those immoral occult rituals.
An endless variety of... There's also books in a board game section. A towering mountain of colorful board...
One Browbritter is a fun game of economic competition. Then you're a lucky... For playing with friends, I'd recommend...
In your hands, you hold a brand... The cover features a charming illustration depicting a mass of grinning laborers loading goods onto a ship, while a richly dressed administrator oversees their work. The exact location and time period are left deliberately vague, but it's clearly meant to represent the economic relationship between the Revacholian suzerainty and its many vassals. The box has a nice heft to it. You hear the rattle of individual wooden tokens and feel their weight shifting back and forth. Even before you open it, you can tell that this will be a meaty game of grand strategy and complex player interactions. The plastic wrap rips off as easily as a bodice in a tawdry historical romance. There's a hiss as the lid slides off. Inside, you find a thick, full-color rulebook and more than a dozen pouches of various wooden components. Savor that new board game smell. A mix of wood, paper, and ink, all wrapped in the sweet must of cardboard. Welcome to Suzerainty, a game of economic strategy for the whole family. The rulebook is sumptuously illustrated and thick as a Gradian novel. The colorful illustrations depict cheerful workers picking apricots, hauling marble sculptures out of crumbling temples, and harvesting a strange magenta-leafed plant. Everyone is smiling. You begin to suspect there may be a political agenda to this so-called family game. Only one way to find out. The instructions are opaque at first, and introduce many concepts you're not familiar with. Fortunately, there are many diagrams and examples throughout. You soon figure out the basic conceit. Each player represents an administrator for the suzerain of Revachol. Your objective is to increase the suzerain's wealth and renown by accumulating victory points. That's where the suzerain's vassals come in. The game features 4 vassal nations, each one home to an economically important resource. Each turn, the player collects resources from vassals where they've placed workers. They may then rearrange their workers, fulfill contracts for coin and bonuses, or build structures back in Revachol. As you leaf through the pages, your eye catches on a sidebar labeled Advice for Beginners. Remember, there are many paths to victory in suzerainty, but successful players will find one strategy and commit to it wholeheartedly. Boring, boring, boring. Tear up this rulebook and commit some old-school atrocities. The actual scoring system appears infinitely complex, with a series of tables and appendices required to compute each player's final victory point total. You skip that part for now. You open up a number of pouches containing wooden tokens. There are also several punch boards with other cardboard components that will need to be punched out before you can play. Each cardboard token makes a satisfying tsk as you pop it out. Soon, a neat pile of cardboard coins and counters has accumulated before you.
What? You're not going to offer to let me punch any of them out?
In addition to the worker and building tokens used by each player, there are also several piles of colorful resource tokens, each representing one of the game's 4 principal resources. From the Empire of Safre, orange apricot tokens. From Ilmarat, the ancestral name of Ilmara, grey marble block tokens. From the Semenine Islands, white sacks of sugar tokens. And from Supramuindi and Sarah Maritza, magenta tokens for unprocessed cocaine leaves.
Oh, those are nice.
You hold the open game box before you. The lieutenant looks over the rulebook before he sees something that makes his eyes go.
Holy shit. The average playing time for this game is 1 to 6 hours. I'm not sure we can afford to set aside that kind of time for a game. Yes?
The suzerainty box is heavy. What? Does the lieutenant hate fun? The lieutenant gives you a sour look. He may or may not hate fun, but either way, he does not appreciate your attitude. What is detective work if not an elaborate game? You need logical inference, attention to detail, the ability to analyze your opponent's motives.
I do feel like my thinking has become somewhat rigid. Maybe a little diversion to keep the mind limber is just what's in order.
See? He's doing the hard work himself. All he needed was a little nudge.
Alright, you've convinced me. How do we play?
You explain the basic setup procedures to the lieutenant, who seems to be a quick study. You each take your bag of tokens and counters and unfold the board between you. In the center is the crown of Revachon. Radiating outward are her colorful vessels, each one supplying some raw material desired by the suzerain. Apricots from Safre, archaeological treasures from Ilmarat, sugars from the Seminine Islands, and magenta cocaine from Supra Muindi and Sarah Maritza. There's also a neat little log to keep track of your progress, in case you need to put the game away and return to it later. The lieutenant goes first. He draws a contract card and moves several of his workers to the Safre territory of the board, and the others to the Seminine Islands.
All right, detective, your turn.
You have a few options available to you. Will you try to fulfill contracts right away, or rearrange your workers to maximize production on future turns? Remember what the rulebook said. You'll want to choose a strategy early on and stay committed to it. You draw a contract card offering a number of coins in exchange for archaeological treasures. You place all your workers on the Ilmarat territory. On your next turn, you produce 6 units of archaeological treasure and fulfill the contract for a handful of coins.
Not bad, detective.
But not good enough, the lieutenant seems to be saying. As he completes his own contract card, the lieutenant is rewarded with 4 coins and a round wooden token that he places in the center of the board.
That's a market. It's worth 2 victory points. Don't worry, it was mostly just luck. You'll earn some points soon enough.
What is that patronizing tone? You're one of the suzerain's trusted administrators. You may need to put the lieutenant in his place.
Points are nothing. They don't exist. They're just an arbitrary convention that games use to reward or punish players for certain behaviors. Game designers, I imagine? There are some paranoid types who believe the moral intern keeps detailed score sheets for everyone in the Real Belt, but that's obviously nonsense. Otherwise, no, there are no points, just your actions and the consequences of those actions.
Just like there are no honor points, none whatsoever.
That's just the way it is. Now, I believe...
Glancing over the board, you see several possible strategies. Pressing more workers into service would increase your economic output and help you to survive a possible Those aren't your only options. You could also show your workers how much you appreciate them by investing some of that wealth in them. After all, they're the ones producing wealth for the suzerain. Well, sure, you can do that. It's just not a terribly effective strategy, but then it's up to you.
That's up to you, detective. But remember, the objective of the game is to earn victory points for the suzerain. You should probably pick one strategy and stick to it. Trying to do a little of everything is usually a bad idea. The workers are just there to produce raw resources. You're not supposed to worry about them too much.
The lieutenant assumes you're playing by the rules as written. But what's the point of playing if you can't make your own choices? To the lieutenant's puzzlement, you spend several turns building various improvements to your territorial infrastructure. Soon, your workers have access to clean water, paved roads, and basic hobbies. In return, they produce 1 extra resource per turn.
Too bad investing in your workers just isn't worth many points. Take a look at the scoring tables in the back. You see in Table 8C that investing in territorial infrastructure multiplies your final victory point total by 1, which is to say not at all. Whereas erecting monuments in Revachol gives you a multiplier of 5. Yes, precisely.
Nonsense. Remember what the lieutenant said. If points are arbitrary, who cares about winning? You should reject their system and just play how you want. Now it's the lieutenant's turn to respond. He moves aggressively onto the Safre territory. Soon, his workers are producing a steady supply of extremely valuable apricots. For several turns, you struggle to respond to the lieutenant's burgeoning apricot empire. Eventually, you relocate the majority of your workers to Supremawindi and Saramaritsa, where they begin producing a bumper crop of cocaine tokens. You draw a new contract card. According to the text, there's an aristocrat willing to trade a large supply of cocaine for a number of coins and access to a rare bonus. Amplified music worth 7 victory points. Oh yeah, baby. Cocaine and rock music go together like cocaine and rock music. You know, this isn't unlike the situation the historical Revacholian suzerainty faced in Safre in the middle of the last century. Well, the suzerain was looking for new markets for all the cocaine it was producing, and it settled on Safre. By introducing cocaine into Safre under exclusive contract, the suzerain created an extremely valuable captive market for an extremely addictive product. If you could somehow get the lieutenant's workers addicted to your cocaine, you could not only make them less productive, you would also force the lieutenant to pay you for your cocaine tokens each turn. Yes, you can. It's right there in the rules. Now's your chance. Show the lieutenant what happens when he patronizes you. You've reached a critical strategic juncture. How do you respond to the lieutenant's aggression? With each passing turn, you slowly bleed the lieutenant of coins as his own workers become less productive and more dependent on your magenta cocaine tokens. As a matter of historical fact, this is almost exactly what happened in Safre. To this day, fully half of the former Safre Empire remains dependent on international aid in exchange for a steady supply of cheap produce.
More or less.
Realizing victory is slipping away, the lieutenant launches a desperate gambit: protectionism. By erecting tariffs on your cocaine, he hopes to starve you out of the market. The end game is upon you. Do you escalate the trade war with the lieutenant in hopes of crushing him with your economic might? Or do you ignore his aggression and focus on building the mighty victory column structure in Revachol herself? Alternatively, you could throw the whole game away by trying to build a public education system for the children of your workers. The choice is yours. Building the ultimate structure requires diligent economic planning, which you completely fail to do. Rather than build a glorious monument to Revachol's economic superiority, you have to settle for a handful of post offices and school for the blind.
A risky gambit, detective. Sorry it didn't pay off. That might have helped, yes. Now, let's tally up the scores, shall we?
Computing the final scores is almost a game unto itself. You each spend an inordinate amount of time making stacks of coins, consulting tables, and struggling with basic addition and multiplication. After double, then triple checking your maths, you have your final score, 15 victory points. The suzerain will not be impressed.
I've got 26 points. Don't be glum, detective. There's always next time. Figuratively, I mean. There's no way we have time to play this game again. Now, let's clean up and get back to work.
You hold the open game box before you. Large letters on the front form a title: Wirral. The colorful box is illustrated with bucolic vistas. The cover art also features odd-looking humanoids. Some short, some taller, some with pointy ears, others with ephemeral wings. Text underneath the title in smaller typeface reads, 3rd edition, Mega Setting Supplements module. The side panel adds a sword and sorcery adventure board game with new maps and miniatures. Mysterious things rattle inside. What could they be? Dice? Plastic miniatures? A fantastical alternate world full of magic and wonder? None of that witless man from Heimdall, fascist dross, hidden behind faux realistic allegory. Ural is no cliché-ridden apologia for colonial violence. Ural is pure imagination. Yes, the Wirral setting is known for its complicated system of political alignments. But if you're not into that, you can just hack your way through dungeons in search of loot. That's what most people do. A blurb on the back reads, "Tired of the tedium and toil of modern life? Escape to Wirral. Leave behind Isolas and nations with their petty squabbles. Discard electricity, magnets, and boring technological widgets. Succumb to a world of high pasternal fantastique. Unleash your imagination and create an adventure of endless possibilities. Discover the terrible secret threatening Wirral. Can your band of adventurers save the world?" Exactly. That's the spirit. All you have to do is read an intricate rulebook, study an assortment of maps, unfold the illustrated game board, and start rolling dice. In no time, you could be romping through grasslands with low-level characters, hunted by Iskala riders, or battling unspeakable monsters in endless dungeons fraught with danger and despair, conjuring up forceful magics to aid your quest. Don't forget heated arguments escalating to physical confrontation with your friends. And beer, lots of beer. And most importantly, never forget to rage quit if the dice don't go your way. You pry open the box. Inside you find a folded up map, a small booklet, a 24-sided die, and a little plastic figurine. A reprint of a crude hand-drawn map. The top left corner reads, "Lands of Wirral." The map features both small villages and mid-sized towns with odd names, in addition to meadows, forests, hills, lakes and seas, also with odd names. It doesn't seem to correspond with anything you've seen thus far. It's not a very helpful map. A quick guide to the magical races of Wirral. Create your own hero, choosing from any of these completely unique and fantastical backgrounds. The options are in order of importance: the Welkin, the Tweog, the humans, the fairy folk, and the pygmies. The Welkin, tall, lithe, and graceful, with long flowing hair and pointy ears. They're known for being powerful magic users, but can also hold their own in a brawn-driven fight. The Welkin come with a variety of exciting sub-races: High Welkin, Forest Welkin, Lake Welkin, and Snow Welkin. But if you're not feeling experimental, a basic Welkin will always do. A grand race of industrious mountain people. They're short, stout, and muscular, and enjoy digging for gold and other precious minerals. They're also well versed in the art of combat, where they prefer to use axes and hammers. The Tweog also come in a few different sub-races: Hill Tweog, Shield Tweog, and Dark Tweog. They're just humans. What else is there to tell? They're average in all stats, and jacks of all trades. A very small race of flying people, known for being mischievous, full of trickery. They often lure people into their magical traps. There are no sub-races for the fairies. The least popular of the Wirral races, the Pygmies, are short, rotund, and dim-witted. Pygmies live in small villages made of shoddy wooden dwellings. They spend most of their days tilling the earth and smoking their pipes. There are no sub-races for the Pygmies. It's made from some sort of wood and has been decorated with peculiar plant motifs. You don't know much about dice, but this one looks pretty damn fancy. You place the die into your pocket. It's always good to have luck on your side. You see a man in ragged clothes wearing a lopsided hat and wielding some sort of a firearm.
Huh, interesting. A communard. A communard. One of the leftist revolutionaries in the anti-centennial revolution. The figurine is not a part of the real game setting. I guess someone misplaced it during the packaging process. I have a feeling the figurines are more there to set the scene than anything else.
You pick the figurine up by the base to meet your gaze. The little plastic man stares back at you, his face contorted into a disturbing shout. Then you pocket it. A colorful box with the title, Wirral, in bold letters. It's a board game. Date of birth generator. You were born in the year 07, in the last year of the commune of Revachol, right before it fell, in the old military hospital on the ground floor, where people usually came to die during a snowstorm. The revolution had about 1 year left to go, and the fires were still burning bright. There were explosions in the blizzard. This was 44 years ago. You are 44 years old. The bloating might never leave your face, but beneath it, you still have some years. You still have some hope. Shelves filled to the brim with crime novels featuring the supposedly stalwart Vespertine detective, Dick Mullen.
Of course. Such violence and immorality. I mean, enjoy.
Crime fiction is a disgrace. An asinine misrepresentation of the physical attributes. These books greatly overstate the What's more, they completely ignore the psychological hardships of not a single mention of all the stress this work creates. Shelves filled to shelves full of biographies of famous people. Browsing through, suddenly, high-speed next to Earth, next to that.
I really I'm sorry, I did not.
Several maps have been. The maps look old and faded. The north coast of Avert to the east, Huron. It's so small. No, cold. No, this is. This bookstore is not strictly about crime. Rome amidst the various. These three. The point of the book and various paranoia. In your hand, you hold Dick Mullen and the Mistaken Identity. The brittle paperback feels fragile to the touch. The cover features a pastiche of different scenes. In the foreground, a man in a dark overcoat clutches a pistol to his chest. Rising up behind him are two silhouettes wrapped in a passionate embrace. The tagline reads, Detective Dick Mullen must prove his innocence after an old friend is murdered by someone who looks just like Dick Mullen. That seems to sum up the premise nicely.
Are you really reading that, detective? Good luck finding it. He's not much of a character, I think you'll find. Just a stand-in for the reader.
The point is for the reader to feel like they're solving the crime along with Dick Mullen. The story opens with a knock at the door. Detective Dick Mullen is greeted by an old friend, Charlie Spillane, who's come to Mullen to ask a favor on this dark and cold night. Spillane needs Mullen to drive him in from Vespa to a small town along the Insulindian coast. Despite his friend's apparent agitation, Mullen does as he's asked, then returns home where he passes out drunk, as he does most nights. Two days later, Mullen is arrested by the Vespa police and charged with the murder of Charlie Spillane. At his interrogation, Mullen learns that Charlie Spillane was shot in a bar in the very town Mullen dropped him off in by a man matching Mullen's description. Desperate to clear his name, Mullen manages to convince the Vespa police to release him for 3 days so that Mullen may solve his friend's murder and prove his innocence.
What's the matter, detective?
The lieutenant shrugs, resigned to the idea that his profession will rarely, if ever, be accurately represented in art and literature. Of course, Mullen didn't do it. That's the whole premise of the book. Anyway, Mullen returns to the seaside bar where Spillane was murdered and meets a beautiful, mysterious woman named Diana Deneuve. Deneuve reveals that she was Spillane's lover and that he was mixed up with a local amphetamine smuggling operation. As soon as Mullen begins pulling at strings, the whole conspiracy begins to unravel. Not only is the local police captain in on the amphetamine ring, so is the son of a powerful politician and a strung-out art collector named Torvald, each of whom has his own reasons for wanting Spillane dead. A typical privileged twat. In all likelihood, he's just in over his head. He does bear a personal grudge against Spillane, though, a former prosecutor who nearly brought down his father's administration. The kid doesn't exactly have Dick Mullen's manly build, but he is the correct height, and while interrogating him at his home, Mullen did notice a certain overcoat that looks suspiciously like his own. Outwardly, the old police captain is a real law and order crypto-fascist, a barrel-chested man who's beaten his share of suspects to pulp. But he's also dirty and increasingly paranoid that someone's going to expose his role in the drug ring. He would certainly have the motive and the means, but the captain walks with a noticeable limp from an old war injury. Is it possible that he was able to conceal it long enough to commit the murder? Torvald, the art collector, is a strung-out mess. Frankly, it's hard to imagine him holding a pistol steady enough to actually hit someone, let alone plug them 3 times in the chest the way Spillane got did. That said, Torvald and Spillane have a long history, and while interrogating him, Mullen discovers that Torvald was once involved with Diana Deneuve. Could it be that this is all over a sordid love triangle? One evening, Diana Deneuve comes to Mullen's hostel room in tears. The two of them drink half a bottle of vodka, and soon they're seeking comfort in each other's arms. Yes, comfort and pleasure. The warmth of another human's touch. The burning taste of liquor on her full, sweet lips. As the two lovers share a post-coital cigarette, Diana Deneuve turns to Mullen and says, "By the way, Dick, there was something else I meant to tell you. The name of the true killer. Always aim for the center of mass." Whatever it is, Mullen never hears the words. A blow to the base of his skull knocks him out cold instantly. When Mullen comes to, Deneuve is dead on the hostel bed next to him. To make matters worse, his clothes are covered with her blood. Mullen trashes his blood-stained clothes and flees the hostel, knowing it's only a matter of hours before the cops discover Deneuve's body, if they haven't been tipped off already. The heat is on. If Dick Mullen can't solve both murders before the cops catch up to him, he's going away for life. Can you solve the case before the cops close in? What is it, detective? It's a dangerous line of work, but somebody has to do it. That's why Dick Mullen never lets anyone get too close. What's the matter? Afraid you've been hacking up your friends' bodies in the night? There was never a time when he wasn't a detective. He was born a detective. For a moment, you cease to read the story on the page and see the book for what it is. A collection of brittle, cheaply printed pages held together by glue made from the hooves of horses. From nowhere, you hear the screech of sneakers on a waxed floor, and you feel the burn of rope against your hands. Are these figments of some other life? You won't find the answers you're looking for here, in other words. Is it really so evil, detective? Like what? Do you even have those? Did you lose them, or did they leave you? Do you even know the difference? But then, what does this book know? It's just a poorly made piece of pulp garbage made to be consumed and discarded. So, who did it, detective? Who killed Charlie Spillane and Deanna Deneuve? Could be. Who knows? Only one way to find out. You begin furiously flipping through pages. Even as you know these books follow a series of well-worn tropes, you find yourself completely engrossed. You're turning pages so fast, you don't even notice the ancient spine coming unglued. You try to grab the pages as they come loose, but your fingers aren't quick enough. They're gone. Dozens of pages scatter across the floor. The last fifth or so of the book seems to have been lost. It's possible that you could gather and reassemble the pages, but it would take way too long.
Ah, yes. The problem with mass-market paperbacks. They are not made to last. Perhaps this is a sign that you should get back to solving your own murder, huh, detective?
Don't forget, it could have been the delirium tremens. In your hand, you hold 4/5 of Dick Mullen and the mistaken identity. The note is written with a blue pen. It's arson, petty theft, spousal. You don't exactly close them. So much thin, see-through copper. The rest of the stinking set, it takes about half an hour to piece one together, using the system you've devised. Which one do you want? AKA Leslie and Burke. AKA the public indecency drunk and the property damage drunk is a cursed case. It has been passed from unsuspecting officer to unsuspecting officer for 10 years. On January 29, the unsolvable case made its way to you. Why you accepted it, it is unclear. Every officer, and indeed most civilians in Jamrock, know it's unsolvable. You were so drunk, you didn't remember what it was when you signed on. That, or you were high. Leslie will always take his pants off when he's drunk. Burke will always trash everything. It's just what they do. It is their nature. You cannot change the nature of a man, and you can't lock them away because public indecency and small-scale property damage are not punishable by incarceration. The only way for Leslie to stop flashing his genitals to bypassers and for Burke to stop dismantling signage and rear-view mirrors would be for them to stop drinking alcohol, which in their 40s or 50s, it's hard to tell because of their distorted features, is a medical improbability on par with you ceasing to produce the expression. You would think that, but you're wrong. Where's the fun in exposing your genitals or breaking stuff in your own home? No, Leslie and Burke are on the corner of Main Street and Perdition, because that's where the action is. Can you keep yourself off the streets, threatening fines, dragging them to the station, locking them up in the hellholes they live in, locking them up in the station, hypnotherapy, even trying to get the local gang of Zemyaki to take them out. The Zemyaki gave them ethanol, so Burke and Leslie would expose and rampage even harder. You tried it all, and still the complaints wouldn't stop, as they hadn't stopped for 10 years. It's plain to see from the files that you, Satellite Officer JV, and Special Consultant TH, had more important cases to attend to. You uncover cross-reference to several ongoing investigations, each brought to a standstill every time you drive down Main Street. Because there they are, on the corner of Perdition. And what is Leslie doing? Good, you're learning. If the files are to be trusted, that's all there is to it. That and Burke breaking things, and the fact that they're both drunk. But then again, so are you. The case becomes considerably less comic one day when Burke takes a swing at your ledger. He must have it confused with the property he likes to damage. But the joke's on him. You're drunk out of your mind on potent Pilsner. You slam the hardened plastic board in his face. Then you proceed to beat him unconscious with it. In the process, the ledger sustains damage. The compartment within, reserved for permeable documents, is jammed shut. You stop your assault on the now unconscious Burke to open it, but are unable to do so. The officer began to cry, reports Leslie, who, at this point, is tending to Burke. Kill them. He came at us, and at us. I think he was trying to kill Burko. While trying to kill Burko, you slowly come around. The permeables compartment is open. You've smashed it open on poor Burko's kneecaps. The good news is, Burke can't walk anymore, can't get out of his apartment, an invalid. With Burke to tend to, Leslie cuts back on the indecent exposure. Maybe he flashes his genitals to Burke, who knows, but both drunks are off the street. The complaints stop. The unsolvable case is solved. Which is also why the officer responsible narrowly escapes a disciplinary hearing. The end. Do you want to read another one? It would be very interesting to read about these, wouldn't it? I mean, there seems to be a square-shaped entry wound in the victim's forehead. She's been sitting there for weeks, on her rocking chair, with a square hole in her skull, staring at the wall, her mouth agape. That's all you got. From the half hour you spent piecing it together, all you know is the entry wound was square-shaped. You never found the bullet. And then another body showed up, also with a square hole in his forehead. Who knows? Those pages are missing. What next? One day you may still catch the man with the square gun. Some assholes brought their couch outside and hung out on it, in the middle of the street, on the roof, on the hillside by the motorway. You know, at an unexpected location. They were young, and they thought they looked cool on it. They were leaving it out in all these unexpected and whimsical locations. They took it, too, where they also took photos of themselves on it, and smoked cigarettes, because they felt it's intellectual. Cigarette butts, coffee cups, stupid couch. You had to clean it all up. And you did. So congratulations to you. Case solved. No, you didn't have time for that. These notes show that you have what is called a real goddamn job. You don't have time to be chasing down the couch assholes. You have a real job to do. What next? Murder. Tum tum tum. At the hookah parlor was a case originally assigned to an officer called Joseph Mills, who is now dead, of circumstances completely unconnected to murder at the hookah parlor. Beaten to death by a throng of Villalobos gang members when him and his partner J.M., only initials mentioned, answered a call one night. It's a sad story, and it isn't really represented in your case files. Stop stalling and get to the murder at the hookah parlor. Joseph Mills was on this case that he just couldn't solve, was doing it solo, said it was a real nutcracker, a real brain twister, was on it for, like, a month. The captain got impatient. Shit or get off the pot. Mills didn't get off the pot. Not yet. He kept at it for a couple of weeks more, racking his brains, running with every theory as outlandish as they seemed. Still couldn't solve the murder at the hookah parlor. Tough case, he said. Toughest he's ever had. No, he was awful. Awful sense of humor, too. The worst jokes you've ever heard. Really rapey. Still, he'd been on it for months now. Said it was the final case. Said it was uncrackable. That murderer vanished into thin air. That goddamn hookah parlor was all he talked about. Okay, so the case is handed to you because Mills isn't getting anywhere, and you look into it. Here's the setup. A young man is found dead in a hookah parlor. You know, those places where you go and smoke bubblegum-flavored vapor all day. No, it's soot and water vapor. It doesn't do anything. Yeah, really lame. So anyway, young man in his 20s found with his skull busted open, right on the floor of the hookah parlor, in the middle of the day. No one else is in there. Only client that day. In perfect health, too. Some kind of movie producer. No one enters. No one exits. He's just sucking on his watermelon hookah all morning, all noon, like he usually does. He's a regular. No calls, nothing. Just sucking on the hookah until 15:45. Then bam, he's dead on the floor with his skull busted open, blood everywhere. What happened? How can it be? Mills has no idea. Invisible assassin. Movie deal gone sour. Girl at the counter did it. Nothing fits. Eerie. Man just dropped dead. So you go to the parlor. You see cushions around the table. Table's low, heavy, really sharp edge. See? You can't even read the thing without solving it. Yeah, it was that. Turns out hookah does do something. It turns off your brain's oxygen supply, and you don't notice it until you get up to go to the bathroom. Yeah, he liked his hookah. Stephen was his name. Smoking hookah. Didn't you hear? I don't know. Trying to come up with a movie script, maybe. Anyway, that was murder at the hookah parlor. Joseph Mills wasn't a good detective, and about 30 minutes has passed piecing it together. Next. Not much has changed in the meanwhile. A bunch of... Without resistance or sound, the two panels move against each other. The compartment is now open. Inside, it's slightly. Your hand shakes. You're flushed with adrenaline. The acidic stench of rot, like the bits they put into public piss bowls, probably called Fermi Discrete, or Axel, or something. At some point in its journey, the ledger has seen the inside of a public toilet. If you knew it was dunked in the toilet before getting chucked into the trash, why are you sniffing it? Torturing your own nose for no reason is not conducive to case cracking, bud. Your nose is somewhere between grateful and resentful. It's getting cold, this late in the night.
Good night, officer.